All right. Hello, everyone. This is the Cool Glasses Weekly. This is episode 128 of Rocket Lab Weekly. We have a new guest who just joined. We have today Scotto with us, Matt Money, and Sir Francisco, who is just coming on. Maybe I remove him until he's ready, and then I add him back. So how is everybody doing?
Good. Behind the scenes with Francisco. Yeah. I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. Continuing to experience volatility in the market, but that always leads to opportunity, and just appreciate, as always. I just think about this. This is probably one of the highlights of my week, to come on and hang out with everybody. And it's an international community. I mean, we're talking people from the eastern seaboard here in the US with Francisco. Can't hear him yet, but you're hopefully get on there. And then you got Vince in Northern Europe, and you got Scott north of the wall in Canada, and you got a bunch of people coming on here from New Zealand and everywhere in between. So it's always really cool to be able to come on here and chat. And shout out to the people listening on Spotify, because there's a good chunk of you guys listening on Spotify every week now. So appreciate you guys.
Awesome. And honestly, what a good week. Like, sometimes very few cases. I mean, it's been 128 episodes. I'm like, do we need to do an episode this week? Because nothing really happened. It has happened only a few times. And this week was the opposite. It was like 1 billion capital raise, the biggest, launch contract, and full of other news from the space industry. So I'm really excited for this show. And on top of it, we have Francisco with us. How's it going, Francisco?
Nothing
You're
yet, brother.
Muted. You're muted, I think.
Oh, maybe that.
Okay, so Francisco is working out the sound. Okay, but until then, so Scotto, how are you doing this week?
Good. I feel like I feel all over the place this week, because, like, to what you're saying, I'm like, okay, I've been working on a video, and it's taking a little longer than I thought. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hammer this video out. And then Rocket Lab's like, hey, what if we posted some news? Then I'm like, I got through that, and then High Tide had their earnings, and Rocket Lab's posting other stuff, and Firefly had their earnings. So it was a productive week, but not in the direction I was aiming for. But a fun week nonetheless.
Cool. It's also a fun week for me. I see, like, you guys posting in the US the gas prices, and I'm like, you guys are so lucky. I actually asked ChatGPT, because we buy gas per the liter, not per the gallon. And I asked ChatGPT, like, I paid this much, like, what is that per gallon? And I think we're up to $10 a gallon now here. So when people are posting, like, so much winning, it's $5 a gallon now, I'm like, you guys are lucky. I wish I was paying $5.
A lot of it is taxed, though.
It is.
Because it's like it's only like $3.25 here in Texas, and then people will post, I'm paying $8 or $9 in parts of the US, and a lot of it is due to taxes. So
it is. Yeah, socialism, you gotta love it. Okay, I think Francisco's here with us at any second. But Francisco, we do the show, and then you just come in, like, the minute it's fixed. Just speak, and then, we don't hear you yet. Okay, cool. So let's begin Rocket Lab Weekly. Let's start with the first news. And again, there's so much this week. Maybe we start with an easy one, or a light one. So there is a new interview that came out with Sir Peter Beck, which I think has been the best interview in a long time that I've seen with Sir Peter Beck. And now I lost the screen. Oh, one sec, guys. There it is. And I just wanted to show one portion of the video that is, it was new to me, and it's about, like, the culture at Rocket Lab and how much they make it go right. And I think as investors, we're investing just as much in the company management as the company. So I think this might be important to hear. Please let me know if there's sound.
For everything in the company.
I know that you're very focused on trying to make as many parts of the rocket yourself as you can. How do you think about like at what stage it makes sense to just vertically integrate versus trying to use something off the shelf if there is some supplier, even if
man, we would buy stuff off the shelf straight away versus doing it ourselves. Like, it's not a religion to be vertically integrated. It's just a necessity to achieve and deliver.
You've been at this for now like 26 years. What's the best example of Rocket Lab hustle?
Well, I gave you that tank one there a moment ago, but I mean, it's defined by a set of behaviors. I would say that, the team is just totally relentless, and they're just relentless against execution. So, there's nobody here, nobody survives here if they just want to come here and work 8 to 5 and cruise and then go home. That's just not the culture. We take on really difficult, meaty, important things that people care about. So, I would just say it's engineering excellence and just like sheer dogged determination to execute. And when a lot of companies where it comes 5 o'clock and the problem's not solved, a lot of people will go home. Not here. Like, you can come to here at this facility and you can drive past it any time of the night or the morning and there's lights on.
Is there any really good story that you have of having to basically like sleep here, unfucking some bottleneck that you had over the past couple of years?
Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, like in the customer room, there's beds and pillows. So, I mean, like, for anybody to use. So, I mean, that happens all the time. The one thing I can think of is many years ago is that we had developed this rocket engine, and it was a very unique rocket engine. And we had a bunch of really important people coming over from the propulsion industry to look at this engine. And we were doing the last test on a Friday afternoon. And we thought, we'll just do this one last test before we put the engine to bed because these guys would turn up on Monday. So we did this test, and a hydraulic line was fatiguing. We didn't realize, and it failed, and the hydraulic line failed, caused basically the valving sequence to be wrong, and the whole engine exploded. And not only did it was so good, it was such a good, it's only a sort of a 500-pound engine, so it's not a big engine, but it exploded so good that it just tore everything out of the test cell as well. Like we just walked back in there after it all been sorted out, and there was just shit hanging off the walls, and it was just total mess. And meanwhile, these guys had just taken off from the States, and they were on their way and going to land.
They're going to land whether or not the engine is
There's
there.
nothing left. No,
right.
There's not even a test cell. So, we're all standing around, and like there wasn't one person that said, oh no, or not one person said, well, that's us screwed. People just said, okay, well, there's some titanium back in the shop. I'll get back there now and I'll start machining. And then, the electricians is like, yep, okay, I've got some Cat 5 cable. We'll start rewiring this and we'll do this. And everybody just got to work. And the next day, I got a call from the guys that are coming to visit us, and they said, well, actually we landed here on Saturday morning, so we're all feeling good, so why don't we just come down to the test cell and we'll start work right now. And we're like, oh no, you'll be jet lagged, you don't want to do that. Like, wait until Monday, just wait until Monday, because you'll feel much better. Trust me, this jet lag to New Zealand really hits you. So
don't want you to be sleep deprived when you come.
Oh yeah, no, exactly right. So we just, everybody, it was just nobody slept at all, and we just worked and worked and worked. And we were rebuilding this engine, and we knew there was a couple of things in the engine that were like, we would have liked to fix at some point in time, but they were risky. Like if we made some changes to an injector, and it might not have worked, but we're like, oh well, at this point, like, let's just go for it. So we made a whole bunch of changes to the engine, and we changed, what we thought, some of the injectors and some of the parts of the engine we thought would improve its performance. And then, we got this whole engine back together and got it on the test cell Monday morning. And our very important friends turned up. And they're like, hey guys, how you going? We go, good. Right, ready for an engine test? Yep. And, we hot fired that engine. And that was the first time that engine had been hot fired since a rebuilt engine, rebuilt test cell and a brand new engine with all these modifications. And I think most companies would have played it safe and just said, let's rebuild it exactly as it was. But, we built this new engine, and that new engine performed 13% better than the previous one, which in rocket engines perspective is a huge number.
Over the course of a weekend?
Yeah, and completely rebuilt the engine, and that engine ran for the next nearly a month, just day after day, doing hot fire after hot fire and tweaking things and doing different experiments that everybody wanted to do and all the rest of it. So, that's a Rocket Lab hustle. I mean, it's I think a lot of people would go, well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So this story, guys, completely blew my mind. I mean, going through this in one weekend, 0 sleep, doing a bunch of untried sleep and thinking that through with no sleep, and then still pulling it off. And Francisco, are you back?
Can you guys hear me now?
There we go.
Amazing.
I just restarted my computer. It's to see you guys. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Hello, Vince, Scotto, and Matt. Man, you guys are so amazing. You guys always doing a great job with this weekly stuff, man. So good to see you guys.
Excited
Can
to see you.
think about when we met all the time, man. Like we had a blast over there at Wallops, and I'm looking forward for the next time that we meet each other and the rest of the people. We got such a great community. It's gonna be a blast, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I thought of something. What if they would do, like, we would ask Rocket Lab to do something special for the 100th launch? Would be like a reason to meet again.
That is true. So you want the 100 mission to be a haste, and we can meet up at Wallops. That's a great idea.
Exactly.
Make it a haste. Yeah.
Cool.
So, Vince, I was gonna tell you, I was talking to people about what he said, and it blew my mind. But again, Peter, I say like he's been messing around with engines since he was a baby. I think his family put an engine in his crib when he was born, so I was not worried about it. But I'm like, like people are worried about the Archimedes engine. I'm like, why? People were talking like a year ago, 2 years ago, the engine blew up. I'm like, look at what these guys did. Even if that happened, Peter Beck probably was out there fixing the damn thing in a weekend. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and by the way, for those of you who didn't see this interview, he kind of explains in this interview like why the delay with Neutron. And I never heard it explained before, but he said that engineers will always take the time that you give them. So all the schedules, when he says that it will be like four years to do Neutron, is like the best case scenario. Like he calls it the green light schedule if nothing goes wrong, because if you build a buffer into the schedule, then the engineers automatically will just use that time to do it. And then so he's saying that like it's still a green light schedule, but we're doing like very, very good. And like maybe like not everything happens on the time that we wish that it would happen, but it's still the fastest way that he knows how to get it done. So I'm like, yeah, okay. He's and as Francisco said, zero worry about Neutron working. It takes what it takes, guys.
Yeah, as an engineer, I can agree with that. I like to over and over continuously modify and try to see if I can get any further efficiencies, even if the first or second try it actually meets whatever kind of criteria. It's just like in a session, I think that is kind of innately built in to be able to try and make things slightly better. That's something I always experience personally as well.
Mhm.
You know what I was thinking about talking about the green light thing? I actually sent them a message. I think they should add the interstage to that the 2026 path to launch, because he's not there. I'm like, why don't they add that one and probably can't green light it now? What do you guys think? He's not there. They don't have a picture of it.
Hmm.
That is interesting.
Yeah. At least
But
give us
isn't
one
the
green light
interstage
for
just
2026.
But by the way, now that we're bringing this up, so we have a post by Murray J back from New Zealand, where they are currently testing the stage 1 and stage 2 separation systems, and they have a crane loading in stage 2 into stage 1. I guess this cannot be done on a windy day. But yeah, there's motion with electron, with neutron. So how confident do you guys feel about the Q4 launch for Neutron?
Still feeling pretty good. I still hold that I bet internally they're like, we can maybe pull it off late Q3, but I bet they're baking in a bit of margin just to kind of cover themselves, just to not have to send it into 2027. Knock on wood.
You know, I feel pretty good too this time around because we see so many parts out there now. Like, it's so many stuff going on that I'm like, yeah, they're gonna make it this time. It's too much stuff happening.
Yeah, I kind of feel like now that we're seeing these pictures, I kind of feel like, how did they think that the 2024 launch was real, you know? But it's like, okay, I give them the benefit of the doubt, you know?
Man, I need to get a pair of glasses. The only one without glasses. No, but yeah, you're right, man. Like now, because I see a lot of stuff out there, I'm like, oh yeah, it's happening. This latest, the fourth quarter, yeah, I think it's happening for sure.
Yeah,
very confident.
Whether or not it's gonna happen the third or fourth quarter, all I can say is that I'm just ecstatic to see forward momentum and in testing like this, right? I think just based off of the previous quarterly earnings report and being able to see kind of the holistic view of where Neutron is with respect to where things are in terms of progress and in valuation and being evaluated to go forward, it seems like we're in a good spot. So any sort of movement forward is just slowly shrinking the amount of additional delays that could potentially happen. So,
you know what I'm thinking? Have you guys think about this? Like, now I believe that we're gonna see the second launch a lot faster. So there's not gonna be a big gap between the two, and I think it's gonna be really fast. So that's a positive for me.
That would be cool because it would have been awful if like we actually were, because you think about it, the way I like to think about it, whether or not it's true, is like everything was on the second launch was really relying on this middle or the stage 1 tank that Rocket Lab is making, right? So now that's going to be for the first stage. So my thought process, or for the first launch, I mean, so my thought process is always like, man, like how long would it have been? Would it have been like 9 months, 12 months? So hopefully now that you're starting to see a lot of these serial number 2s starting to come out, fingers crossed that it's like within a couple months that you see it jumping off.
Yeah, I mean, I would caveat this by saying if the first flight is successful, then I think that the next flights they come very fast after, because you know all these mistakes that happen, like when, for example, when this tank collapsed, like they learned from it, right? And they optimized and they made it better. And as long as there's not some big issue with Neutron, I think it will be very easy and fast to get the next ones on the pad and flown. Cool. And talking about rockets, so this week has been very eventful for another rocket, which was the first rocket of the company, both because they signed their biggest launch contract ever, and both because they launched a successful launch, the 84th launch, and a new launch was announced for ESA that is happening still in this quarter. So let's maybe first go over the launches this quarter. I believe that Scotto has those numbers down. You can wake him up from his sleep and then he knows.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna hit six launches, maybe 7 this quarter if we do kind of equal out in the very tail end of March here. But I think I don't think we are going to hit that. And the reason is because if you go to Rocket Lab's website, they have updated their roster. And the next mission after Daughter of the Stars, which is the March 25th ESA mission, is, I mean, it's not till April 23rd, but that seems almost too far out. So I wonder if maybe there's a Haste in there, which we will get to soon. But I mean, of those recently signed launches, they sound like they're going to be going off like right away, kind of an idea, and not like next week, but probably we're talking more months than quarters. So yeah, whether Jax is the next one after ESA or whether there's going to be some in between, like we're still teed up for a very busy, very, very busy year. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
That's awesome. And Matt, on the 12-month launch cadence, how are we looking?
Back down. We had launches on the 15th and 17th last year in 2025. So that kind of brings forward the date. Now I don't know what the next date is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's sometime in April. But I think we've kind of dropped back down below 23, which was kind of the maximum. So I think we're at 21 or 22. I'd have to go back and double check that all my calculations there are correct. But yeah, we're on the precipice. If we're just able to keep up the cadence, which is pretty much staying below 14 days between launches, man, I think we'll honestly get there. We're close to 30 launches in the year. So I think that's kind of the cadence that we need to get to. So sometimes we'll get, within 2 days. Sometimes we'll get within, 16 or 17 days. So as long as we're able to average a trailing 5 launch cadence of like 12, 13, 14 days, we'll be able to at least get faster in terms of total number of launches, get closer to 24. But yeah, to really get to where we want to, we would probably have to get to a launch every 10 days, which would then get us kind of a cadence of about 35 a year. So curious to see where we head towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay, guys, and what did you think of this new contract? To be honest, it completely blew my mind for various reasons. For example, the fact that they sold 28 launches in Q1, which is in one quarter more than, like almost 40% more than their best year of launches yet that they delivered. And it's already more than the full year of 2025. I mean, that's some insane scaling right there. And what is surprising me super much is that Electron was not supposed to be the vehicle that was, like sold in block launches. Like the idea with Electron in many cases was, like you're a startup, you send up a few satellites that you want, and then, you can go on the Falcon 9 rideshare when you're actually deploying a bigger constellation. And the fact that we're selling Electron, like Electron is like creating its own market in a way, and I can't help but think like, okay, what is going to happen with Neutron if we're getting this kind of a demand for Electron? But yeah, I want to hear from you. So what did you guys think when you saw this? And yeah.
You sounded a little bit like Chris Kemp. You don't think there's a market for small rockets there? But I think Ben's got frozen. But yeah, I like this contract, man. And I think Haste, we always thought, I'm sure you guys thought about this too, that Haste was going to start picking up the pace here in 2026. I think we always can agree with that. I love the contract, and I think there's more to come because I listened to the Kratos call, and they said that they're going to keep increasing and improving the margins on that. They're expecting to get a contract by the end of the year of $1 billion plus for the hypersonics. So I'm assuming that's going to be more money for the Haste program. So I think that's going to pick up a lot, and it's going to push us towards that 30 launches a year.
Wow. I just got your Chris Cam joke. It just took this much time.
Oh.
Yeah, the Haste thing I think is pretty interesting. I mean, if you think about it, that particular subset of the test electron has really only been in operation since mid 2023. So it's going to have its own cadence. Like the first year was 2023 was for one launch. 2024 was only 2 launches toward the back half of the year. So it took over 365 days, I feel like, to get the second and third ones off. And then, just like Electron, it's going to grow a cadence on its own. And I think there's such a need for that just for testing comparatively. And, I don't want to steal the word out of Peter's mouth, but I feel like I'm quoting him accurately. And at least the data says the same. I think the cheapest rocket before Electron to come out that was able to really allow some sort of test bed like this was the Minotaur, and the Minotaur 4 I think was about 40 to 50 million a launch, and I think also was very inconsistent in terms of its ability to provide capability to test. And so having a test electron like this at a fraction of the cost, which I think is tracking anywhere between 10 and $11 million, is literally a quarter of the cost. And also you have a vehicle now that's launching over 20 times per annum. So, being able to modify that in terms of a Haste configuration, I think will allow the U.S. And potentially other partners within NATO to be able to test any sort of weaponry, as we've seen with Australia and also the UK wanting to potentially participate in some of this hypersonic testing as well. So very excited to see where this potentially can go. And I'm curious now because I know Haste at the moment can only launch from LC2. I'd actually be kind of curious. Maybe Francisco, you know this because sometimes you get into the notes, and Scott's pretty good about this as well. Is there a launch limit at LC2 specifically for Rocket Lab? Just like right now, I know there's a launch limit on LC3, but there hasn't been a need to update the LC3 launch limit because LC3 unfortunately hasn't had any launches as of yet. So I'm just curious, is there a limit to what we can launch at LC2?
Yeah, and there was that that article. It was maybe, I mean, it had to be like a year old now, but there was talk of, I think it was like they're only it's unclear, but I've heard one party say 6 per year were okay for the type of fuel or the type of setup that Electron uses. One group said 6 launches per year, another said 12, and I think it was increasing to I want to say mid-20s, give or take. I know it wasn't crazy, but max 30, I think. But even that already, we're going to kind of be bumping up on that pretty soon. Not just Rocket Lab, of course, but all parties involved. So, I mean, they're going to have to increase capacity again in the next couple of years, at least, I'd imagine. But I did want to pick your guys' brain because, okay, so the quick math of this new launch contract is 190 million for the 20 Haste, so 9.5 million each, which lines up nicely with what we've seen historically with Rocket Lab. And then if we just kind of ballpark that the other 8 that were signed so far in this quarter, because the 28 total was mentioned in this press release, we're assuming that those are $8.5 million, right? And then later in the press release, again, it mentions that Rocket Lab's over $2 billion. So if you kind of reverse engineer that math, Rocket Lab has a unusually high booking in space systems as well. We're looking at 80 million this quarter, which is the second highest quarter, not including those huge boosts from SDA. It's the second to highest quarter. So Francisco, I want to pitch it to you. What do you think's cooking in space systems?
Oh man, space systems. There's so much stuff going on in space systems right now, and I'm happy with the contracts that we got. I'm sure we're all waiting on Golden Dome. It seems like everybody's gonna eat a piece of that pie. Seems like even Lunar, I've been talking to people, are gonna be in it. Everybody's gonna be in it. I'm waiting for some deal there. I think where the money that they raise now is probably to acquire something that's gonna make them even better, to go after some contracts for the space systems. Yeah. And yeah, just waiting for more contracts for that. Space system, for me, it's very exciting. Yeah, rockets are exciting, but the money, obviously, we all know, comes from space systems. But I don't know. Going back, I remember the article you said about the launches out of Wallops. Yeah, it's around 20 something. It was last year. Same there. But nah, space systems. I actually think that Mynaric deal, we should be expecting an announcement at the end of this month, right? And I asked the great Grok, what do you think? And they said, yeah, you get an announcement by April, May. So hopefully Grok is right. That would be great. Once we get Mynaric will be I mean, it will be such a great company to have on the Rock Lab. I think it's gonna open a lot more doors, and it's just space systems to me is very exciting. We definitely will get something from the Golden Dome for sure. I just don't know where it's coming from. We all know that they're working on comps for the Flatellite, but we don't know what's happening with it. I'm sure they're working on Flatellite behind the scenes because they announced it already like over a year ago. And Peter is working on that. He just doesn't want to mention it. But I think we get a constellation once we see Neutron on the path. So by the end of this year, they'll announce it. Other than that, I don't know. I think we're gonna get more crazy announcements this year. Oh, the Mars stuff. Actually think this. I'll say it's like 90% that we get anything from Mars because it seems like the Jared Isaacman has SpaceX and Blue Origin so busy with the moon stuff that I'm like, it only makes sense for him to give Mars these satellites to contract to Rocket Lab.
Mhm.
The dude is smart. He knows Rocket Lab. He has mentioned in multiple interviews SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Rocket Lab in that order. So he has to give that one to us.
Yeah, I like Isaacman has a very much of a shotgun shell approach, where he kind of doesn't try to gold plate or platinum plate or anything on one particular project. I think he likes to say, well, if we're going to take $10 billion, let's take $10 billion on 10 $1 billion bets rather than one $10 billion bet, because as always, there's going to be chances of success and probabilities of failure associated with any program. And so I think he takes it as, try different things to figure out. And I love this approach as well. I recommend doing this as an engineer all the time in my industry. It's like, you don't know, you think you could have all the stars lined up, but Mother Nature just might have other things intended. And so I love the idea that it's not just going to be one person fits all that's going to basically take the whole Mars contract and run with it. I think it's going to be a multitude of people.
Okay, guys. Now I have a question because I don't follow Kratos super much, and I was reading the 8K for Rocket Lab, and Rocket Lab in the 8K was saying that this is via Kratos, like this 20 new Haste, but they were saying that the Department of War was ordering from them. But I guess Department of War had to approve Rocket Lab, and Kratos chose Rocket Lab, maybe. So that's question number one, and then question number two is, we know that Kratos is going to get like a huge extension to their own contract. I believe it was like $1.2 billion, something like this. And is this contract that they got that extension? So they got this extra budget approved, and that's why Rocket Lab got this extra contract, or Rocket Lab got this contract and there is an extra budget on the horizon, which results in even more possible Haste launches?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Yeah, Kratos is the sole contractor for this hypersonic stuff to the Mac TV program. So Kratos is in charge of like signing, like, let's say, like Rock Lab, Firefly, I think Strato Launch is in there, and so, right? But no, this money like came from money that they already had. They 1 plus billion they're gonna get that they announced during the call is coming later this year, by the end of the year. That's what DeMarco said. So yeah, that's gonna be another big contract for hypersonic at the end of the year, which, like, again, we might get some more contracts for Hates after that. Is what I'm assuming. So
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna get interesting.
And is it possible, based on the numbers, to speculate like how much was the previous contract that Kratos had? Because maybe if that contract was $1 billion and they signed a contract with Rocket Lab with 190 million, then we can assume that from the next extension, Rocket Lab will get a similar amount.
Yeah, I don't know how to calculate that, to be honest. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think like because you got all the companies now with that Firefly they finally launched. I don't know how many launches they probably want to see from Firefly before they give them a contract to. Because I'm assuming that we got lucky in a way that Firefly didn't launch for a year, and maybe that's why we got this big contract for 20 launches. Maybe it was good for us that Firefly had a failure and stuff like that. So I don't know if the next one they're gonna split it more even with the other companies. So it's hard to tell. But it's gonna be more money. So I'm assuming it's gonna be a big one.
all right. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, so as this news was not big enough by itself, we got another news, another 8K filed by Rocket Lab, and that is that they are raising $1 billion new dollars with share sale on a very complicated way. I needed to use AI to clear it up exactly how they do it. I still don't fully understand. It looks like they were able to lock in on part of the offering the share price when they announced it. So, but not on all of it. But yeah, maybe one of you knows more about this. And yeah, this is a dilution of 2.5%. Yet the stock was down something like 11% on the news. I mean, it was also a turbulent day. And obviously, knowing Adam Spice and having done interviews with them and Sir Peter Beck, they don't just raise money to raise money. So it must be that they see an opportunity, whether that's acquisition or whatever it is, to use this money, which makes this super exciting to me that they're raising money. But I want to see like what did you guys think?
Actually, I have one thing to add to that too, Vince, because I'm not sure if you saw, but somebody reached out to investor relations and heard from Adam Spice like just minutes later.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, I won't say the guy's name, but he says up to 1 billion in new shares in addition to what was raised previously. So he's kind of, I think the guy's question was like when we saw the last 8, so there have been 3 ATMs. When we saw the second one, it kind of canceled out the remainder of the first. So it seems like the person's asking Adam, like, is this in addition to the second raise? And then Adam, and I assume they also asked like, what's the plan? So Adam, a response here. Up to $1 billion in new shares in addition to what was raised previously. At the current prices, a $1 billion raise would be approximately 2% dilution in exchange for more fully funding an aggressive inorganic growth plan. So that sounds like M&A to me. Also, in looking in the rearview mirror, the first ATM was done at roughly $26, the second ATM at $48, and this one is starting in the 70s. So I feel good about our ability to manage this effectively and put us in a great spot to be strategically well positioned to execute with inorganic growth opportunities that can be competitive bidding processes for which we don't want to have to clear financing hurdles where others may have the cash on hand. Thank you, Adam. So, I mean, that tells us pretty much what exactly they're planning to do with this money. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we have a announcement in the next, weeks to months that we're acquiring a company. And judging by this is either maybe a couple smaller tuck-ins or maybe something that has a little bit more weight behind it. So it's going to be exciting to see. What are you guys' thoughts?
No, for sure. I think that they already have something in mind and they're going after. Yeah, we're probably gonna hear something soon. Yeah, I'll think so too. They're not gonna do this out of the blue without having something already planned. I mean, I trust Adam Spice and Peter Beck with all my money. I'm sure they got something good coming. I'm excited to be honest. I mean, I saw that and the price went down. I bought. I'm sure Matt did the same thing. I was messing with him. Like I'm sure he bought yesterday. Like it's payday. I'm sure the price went down. You get a dip. I'm like, this news is not gonna scare me. Actually, I thought it was good news. I'm like, they need to do that. Believe it or not, like Kratos actually last month did also a ATM for $1 billion too, and they're growing the company very fast too. And with defense growing so fast, like you need to start growing. All the companies trying to acquire consolidation. So you need the money. If you don't do it, somebody else is gonna do it. So they have to stay on top of it. So I'm happy. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like as people that love this company and want to own as much of it as possible, dilution sucks, and I get that. But I always look at it as it's a short-term pain for long-term gain because, and I know they're being prudent with it because, and I know this is 6 months out of date now, but I was having the conversation with Adam at LC3, and I was just like asking him about something, and he basically went on this thought process around like, well, I'll bring these opportunities and this large pipeline of opportunities to Pete, and he'll be like, no, we can build that in house. I'm not going to spend 125 million to buy that company when I could probably do it for less than 10 or 15. So he's like, and that project is gone and it's doing gangbusters within the company. I'm not exactly sure what part of it was. But it goes around to acknowledging that Adam has this phenomenal M&A bloodline, being from Broadcom, and he's able to work hand in hand in this great tango that him and Peter have about understanding what's appropriate and what's not. And so to me, I think it's one of two things. It sucks for dilution, of course. Nobody wants to see more dilution, but there's going to be a benefit associated with it. And within 12 to 18 months, I feel like this conversation around having to go ATM and having is going to die down, because we're actually going to be on the other side of this thing where we're actually going to be cash flow positive. And yes, I'm not saying there's not going to be any more ATMs in 12 to 18 months. But what I am going to say is there's likelihood that when we're starting to generate 250, 400, $500 million a year in cash flow from operations that is actually cash flow positive, then there's likelihood that instead of just going ATM, they're actually going to take on debt with the company and utilize that, say, go to the market where they have an appropriate credit rating to do so. It's difficult right now to do that. And the reason why is they're probably saying, you know what, we'd rather take a 2% dilution in this particular case to get $1 billion than pay somebody 13% annualized in terms of an interest rate, because the credit rating we have is just not robust enough. And they'll say the valuation of the company is sufficient to support that. And so I trust, like Francisco stated, I trust Adam and Sir Peter Beck with both my head and my heart.
Well said, well said. So this is going to leave $2 billion in the bank. And, you know, for example, Mineric and the previous acquisitions, they have been cash and shares. So that gives you a pretty big company if they want to acquire something, or many small companies. So any idea who or what they might be after?
No idea, man. Like Ampe, man, you guys saw like he's very popular on ASTS. I know Matt love ASTS, but he was saying that maybe Rocket Lab will acquire Black Sky. What do you guys think about that? I don't think that they're going to go for that for their observation, but I mean, he said that it's worth like $1 billion, so I guess they can go after that. I was thinking maybe thrusters, but what Matt was talking about earlier, I think that's what they went and decided to do in-house. It was the thrusters. They're like, oh, we could do that. And so I don't see that happening either. So I'm like, what are they gonna do? Payloads? I don't know. Like, I wish I could tell you, but it's a hard one.
Mhm.
What you guys, any ideas you guys got?
I mean, I see a lot of I've seen Redwire mentioned a lot as well, and I think similar to Black Sky, it's too military shaped for Rocket Lab, and I know that line's blurring, you know, now compared to even a few years ago with Rocket Lab, just in terms of like, you know, that guilty by association. You know, the protesters are like, you're launching Black Sky satellites, and then they end up doing this, therefore you're guilty by association. I don't think Rocket Lab wants any of that kind of negative press surrounding them, even if it is like, you know, maybe we might bring up Planet Labs had a really good earnings this week, but it's kind of like Planet Labs where it's like, yeah, there is the good side to the business, but I think Rocket Lab sees the kind of, you know, the controversial side of that, and they'll just say like, forget it, we're not going to worry about Redwire. Like, if this was Redwire prior to the Edge Autonomy acquisition, yeah, maybe. But because of that, they're like half military now, and Black Sky is just too close to military, I think, for Rocket Lab to consider. I bet we see some payloads, like something associated with payloads, definitely spacecraft related, and probably not so much launch. But what do you guys think?
Yeah. I also think that when they're buying a constellation, it has to be, you know, what like how much would it cost them to buy it in-house? Like, so I don't know, how big is Planet Labs constellation?
Oh, they're like the number of satellites.
Yeah.
It's like they have like I mean, it fluctuates, but it's like 200 satellites. But they're like really small. I think like I don't even know, like less than 50 kilograms each. Could be even smaller than that. And then they have a few bigger ones as well. But yeah, like 225, give or take, for the.
And what's their market cap?
Oh, after this earnings, I don't know. I think it's run up a fair bit. I think it's kind of borderline off the table at this point.
Can you give me
Yeah.
a ballpark of
Let
their?
me look it up.
3 billion at ballpark, but I really don't know.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
look it up real quick. Yeah, I got
Because
lucky. I did bought some Planet Labs like before that, so I
Oh,
was able
nice.
to.
so look, 3 billion divided by 225 is like 13,500,000 per satellite, right?
Yeah.
And if Sir Peter Beck is sitting down and he's like, okay, if we're, because you guys remember when we spoke to them, they said that like as they're producing things for other companies, like the factories are going, and when they need the same parts, like it goes in the same batch, and then they also get it for that discount, you know.
I got the
So
market cap 11 billion. Forget about that
Way off.
one.
well, okay, look,
Black Sky's 1 billion, but
Yeah,
yeah,
blast.
so 11 billion divided by 225, so it's 48 million per satellite, right? Like, what if Sir Peter Beck is like, I can do the same satellite for 2 million, and I can launch them, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then it makes no sense to buy. And I think that this math would be the same for most of the constellation companies. So I think that that's why they're off the table, because it's so much. Like Rocket Lab is going to be insanely competitive with Neutron on the constellation market. So
Yeah.
the only reason would be the frequency, you know, like the spectrum.
Your Spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the only reason for them to buy a company, but no other such reasons. Yeah.
I mean, I think the question is Black Sky's technology that that proprietary where it actually makes sense for them, and would something like a Satellogic potentially make more sense, which is literally half the cost. So if you're looking at somebody that could potentially be creating these payloads, is Satellogic, which is 50% of the cost, something that's just as good, and has the opportunity. I don't know the answer. I don't, but I think a lot of times people go to what's the hot stock, and I don't know, they're trying to like wish it into existence versus what's reality. But I'm very curious. I mean, Black Sky, while their technology is pretty cool, and I've seen some of their presentations. At the same time, I don't necessarily know if it's the most cultural fit, just based off of what I've heard from other conversations as well. It seems like that they might want to potentially keep doing their own thing.
No, I agree with you, and I'm like, why is stopping like Rocket Lab once they get Neutron and the Flatellite going to putting some cameras and some stuff and doing it themselves, and like it's gonna be cheaper than acquiring somebody for $1 billion. Most of these parts are gonna be space system parts are gonna be in-house, so I don't know if that's worth it. I don't know. They want a red wire. Like I agree with Scott about before they acquired the drone company. I thought it made a lot of sense for the radios and stuff like that, but now I don't know.
I'm willing to bet if Rocket Lab does decide to get into Earth observation, though, they're going to need to acquire. The reason that I say that is like, yeah, Rocket Lab can build the satellites and whatnot, but they can't recreate that, like, but depending on the company, like 10 to 20 years of like
No.
Earth data, Earth
Yeah.
imagery.
Yeah.
So that is something that if they are going to get into Earth observation, they're pretty much going to need to buy that. That is something that can't be recreated. So yeah, maybe Satellogic is the move, Matt, like you're mentioning. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
Interesting viewpoints. Okay, cool. I guess we will see what happens. So moving on to another news that happened this week is Sir Peter Beck was awarded at the so he got an award at the 68th Pathfinder Awards, and they became this year's laureates. Probably butchered that. So yeah, congratulations to him. This is a newspaper magazine, as far as I understand, and then they award outstanding figures based on different industries that they cover. I don't know if you guys have any comments on this, or we can just go to the next one.
No, cool to see.
Yeah. Good. This was all that I had for Rocket Lab, but this week has been really interesting also just generally in the space industry. Firefly has had earnings, and we actually have two Firefly shareholders here.
Well, I'm not a shareholder. Unless
You're not a shareholder. Okay.
no, no,
So
no. I
one.
just try like keep a close eye.
Who's the one? I actually bought some Firefly, believe it or not, and I actually did calls like a few weeks ago, and I made some crazy money on that. And I'm like, ah, whatever. When it was like 19, I bought like 500 shares. Then before the call, I added a few more because I thought with that launch, I'm like, it's easy money. It's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
Especially space is like running hot right now, and like Isaac man like t saying that the moon, he's trying to like pretty much send something like every month. It's just space is like 2026 is the year of space, we say, like, so it's yes, I thought it was gonna be easy money and it worked out. Sometimes it doesn't, but it worked out for me.
Nice.
Congrats. Congrats.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
pretty interesting earnings call. It like so there. I mean, depending how you look at it, the revenue is like just growing really fast. And the actually, could I just share my screen here, Vince? Because I'm
Sure.
kind of looking at some numbers. Might as well bring you guys in. How do I do that? This one. All right, so you can kind of see what revenue we have available. We have 2023, but it's like full year. So we kind of with Q1 printing, we now have like the first full like 2 years of quarterly comparisons, if that makes sense. The stuff that you see up top here, this launch revenue, my understanding is that's like the money that is being given to Firefly to help Northrop Grumman like co-develop Eclipse / the Antares 3300, which is kind of like one company's doing half the rocket, the other company's doing the other half the rocket. Maybe, I don't know if that's going to be the most efficient route, but we'll see. So what we're seeing is like the launch revenue, that's what you're seeing, with the exception of right here. That was the last successful alpha launch. And then everything after that is just kind of like Eclipse development. They just kind of recognize it a little bit unusual. What we should really be focusing on is the spacecraft solutions. So they've had some like, a couple of quarters that had some like notable spikes here, went from like 4 million, 50 million. This was associated with Blue Ghost 1's launch, and then it kind of comes back down. And this last quarter has been, phenomenal again. So all in all, Firefly ended up reporting 2025 revenue of 160 million, which is up 163% year over year. And even crazier is they're guiding from that 160, they're guiding for 420 to 450 million dollars in revenue.
that's close to Rocket Lab 2025, by the way.
Yeah, yes. And I think a lot of that is Blue Ghost 2. I thought that was launching right away, but I actually just checked before the show, and it looks like it's now a late 2026 item. So it's either way launching this year. I think that's going to be a lot of where that revenue is coming from. As for the backlog, they continue to see healthy backlog. We're now sitting at 1.4, we'll call it 1.35, with 170 million of that contributed from the SciTech acquisition that happened in November of 2025. And they also mentioned that they have 30 launches in backlog, which is unchanged from March. So I'm not sure if we've seen any signings or, kind of offset with cancelings, but looks like they're not really bringing any new launches to the table for obvious reasons. Now we're probably going to see that change right away with the successful launch of Alpha 7. But what kind of, made me like, I don't know, not like feel bad or anything, but like, I was just surprised, I guess, to hear that they're only planning to launch Alpha 3 more times this year, given the success. I thought maybe they'd like really get cracking, but I guess not. And, take that with a grain of salt, because they also guided for 4 launches in 2025 and 4 launches in 2024. So I think it's actually more in 2024. I think it was 7, but either way, they've guided for 4 launches the past 3 years, including 2026. Eclipse is now net 2027. I think it was originally like mid, or actually, I don't know when exactly. I think that was originally like late 2026, but either way, 2027 now for the actual Eclipse to launch in full. I thought I had one more thing to add. Oh, I guess we can compare the margins too. Oh, and really quick, the price to sales for Firefly is sitting around 16 right now. And if you're looking at forward price to sales, it's sitting about 9. So expensive compared to like NASDAQ or whatever, but not that expensive when you're kind of looking at other space companies. Yeah, revenue is really strong. Margins were, decent. They're kind of improving overall. And then down here, we kind of have a little table that kind of connects the Rocket Lab side of things to the Firefly side of things. You can kind of compare margins one for one. So kind of no matter how you slice it, they're kind of subpar margins compared to Rocket Lab's operating margin, adjusted EBITDA, and free cash flow. So all in all, a decent quarter. The alpha launches for the full year is kind of surprising, but to give them the benefit of the doubt, going forward, it's going to be alpha block 2. So it is like they're going to the next launch that they have, and then the ones going forward, they are upgrading. So maybe there's a few hiccups along that path as well, but yeah, wishing them the best of luck going forward with block 2. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, you're right, 100%. I'm surprised too that they only are guiding for 4 launches because they're so behind with the cadence. They have so many deals with Lockheed and I don't know the other companies, maybe Northrop, I don't know, but they're maybe L3Harris, I can't remember, but they did get a lot of contracts and they're way behind on those.
Oh yeah.
They need to start launching like every month, like multiple launches a month if they're gonna catch up to that. So yeah, I don't know. 4 doesn't sound too good to me like right now, but we'll see what happens with that new upgrade.
Mhm.
And I like everything you say is good. I mean, it was a decent quarter, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of circle back to what you were saying earlier, Francisco, you mentioned that Kratos they mentioned like Rocket Lab, Strata Launch, Firefly. Or actually, Kratos didn't mention Firefly. Firefly made a
No.
separate post. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, us too. But
Yeah.
like, I think we can pretty much rule that out now. Like, given their launches are unchanged, they're going to be down to like 26, I guess. When are they going to launch the remaining 26? Like that could take them years at this rate. So if you're wanting Haste done fast, sorry to say it, but Firefly's not the first choice.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That like now that you said that, it's like yeah, with that cadence, there's no way they're gonna grab some haste because they're so behind. There's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good for Rocket Lab. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
don't. My Firefly was like in a speculation because obviously I like Rocket Lab a lot better, but I thought I was gonna be able to make some money on them. I'm still not 100% sold on them. I do like the CEO a lot better because remember they had some issues with the old CEO. They
Mm-hmm.
are improving. They made some stuff that I like now, but I'm not there yet. I'm still gonna give them a hard time. Like the CEO followed me at one point and doesn't follow me anymore. I give them a hard time on X all the time. But yeah, I mean, they're improving. All space companies are doing great. Like I think Planet Lab obviously reported earnings. So did York. You guys saw that?
Mm-mm.
Symbol YSS. They reported earnings too. They were pretty good. I think the earnings increased by 53% or something like that. It was good. They went up a lot too. If you look at the stock, it went up after hours too. Like $5 or something. Let me look it up. I don't follow them like that. I just saw it. Somebody posted it. I'm like, oh really? Yeah, they jumped a lot, like after hours too. So they jumped like 34% or something after they reported earnings. So
Not bad.
yeah, space is getting hot, so I like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all good
Yeah,
news for Rocket Lab. I was looking at that because I'm like, if they report good stuff, it's good for us too.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I mean, we a little bit touched on this. What happens if you're not delivering on your contract? So this is the last news that I had queued up.
Vince, you might need to switch screens. I still see
Oh,
mine there.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. It's tech support here. Wait, I have
Well,
to.
what he's doing that. Did you guys saw that somebody posted that the FCC, I guess, licensed for the LOX SAT, I guess, got approved?
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. There was some guy that I followed this, like the FCC licenses on X, and he made a post like alert, like that. I guess Rocket Lab filed for this launch back in January 31st of 2026. It must have got approved, and that was for the LOXSAT one. So
Cool. And that's launching in June, isn't it?
That's what we're thinking. Yeah, June timeframe.
Perfect.
Nice. All right, so the last news is the Space System Command responsible for buying rocket launches for the U.S. military has reassigned the upcoming GPS 3-8 national security launch from ULA to SpaceX. This mission will now fly on SpaceX's Falcon 9 instead of ULA's Vulcan rocket. The switch comes as the military looks to ensure reliable and timely deployment of critical GPS satellite, while an investigation into a Vulcan anomaly is ongoing. So it just basically shows that the pain is real. Like customers cannot wait forever, and while their satellites are on Earth, they don't make any money. And I don't understand how Firefly can be 5-6 years late on the launches and still have the same 30 customers. And if they're not launching soon, I think their launches will be also reassigned to different companies. Yeah.
But you know what? Now that you mentioned that, now I know who Rocket Lab is going to acquire.
No, don't say ULA. Don't say ULA. I don't.
Remember, there was a rumor because like a few years back they actually looked into ULA, but we don't know why they did that. I actually asked Grok, "What are the odds?" And Grok told me 10%. I don't.
The only thing that I can see is that they would acquire ULA for the contracts, like that they would because I think ULA has like $11 billion in backlog or something like this. So maybe they can like reassign all the launches to Neutron and like grab the backlog, but I don't see that they are culture fit, the two companies.
Yeah, they don't fit, and I think they have a problem because they say that workforce, they have some sort of like retirement and some other finances that come with it. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting.
Yeah. Can you just this story that we watched in the beginning of the show that like they stayed all weekend and nobody slept anything for 3 days straight? You think that happens at ULA? It's like it's Friday 2:00, guys. Let's eat ice cream in the cafeteria and then we take an early day home. That's how I imagine. ULA and
No, for me it's a joke. Yeah, ULA Boeing, like they fall asleep on the wheel, man. It's unfortunate because Boeing was like one of my favorite stocks, like when I was a kid. I'm not stock companies. When I was a kid, man, I love airplanes, but they just dropped the ball, man. Now, if the company sells their stuff, maybe Rocket Lab can do what they did with Virgin. What was it? Orbit. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I all I know is Matt. It's eye watering for Matt. This news even.
So beautiful. Yeah.
It is good for Neutron though. It's gonna be good for Neutron though.
Exactly. Cool. So this is the normal time for the show. I don't know if you guys if you guys want to speak about Planet Lab, because I saw a lot of mentions and I saw Dave G posted like raise your hand if you gave up on Planet Labs too early. That was like a company that I sort of followed because it was in Ashley Vance's book, but I never was interested in it as an investment opportunity. But is there anyone here who has them or?
I'm in the Dave G and I were in the same camp where I gave up way too early. It was I made a video about it too, where it was more like like the company's probably going to do really well, but it's just to what we talked about earlier, it's like it's cool that they're going to like they can monitor for like hurricanes ahead of time or like tell you where a forest fire is before like anyone else knows. Like that stuff's really cool, but then living in Canada and then hearing them talk about like tracking your carbon and like what just putting on my tinfoil hat what that carbon tracking will turn into in the wrong hands. I'm just like I don't want to be sure there's money to make. I don't want to be part of it, frankly. So I sold and would have made a good amount of money on Planet Labs, but oh well. I'm happy for those who are. So good on you guys.
All right, cool. Then I guess this is a good point to end the show. So thank you guys for being here. May your stock stay green and your sky stays blue. And let's hope Iran war finishes this week, so my gas costs can go down to just being $5 a gallon from my $10 a gallon price.
That worked out for Matt, didn't it? Because you're into Nest and all the LGN stuff, right?
Yes, America's largest physical export is liquefied natural gas. So I've been, and knowing that that is going to be something that is competitive into the 2030s, and so me being somebody that generally looks 5 to 10 years down the road as what's important, have had a lot of LNG, liquefied natural gas stocks. So that has been good for me over the past few weeks. Unfortunately, I'd like to say I didn't expect to do well based off of war, but more just the necessity of the economies in the world growing. So,
all right, so that's why you were on the White House page, giving them stock advice. It's like, guys, you guys can all buy LNG stocks, and then you attack Iran, and then it goes up.
White House page in December, war breaks out in Venezuela January 3rd, and then, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Everything is connected to the oil.
I know something.
We puzzled it together, Matt. Okay.
You know, did I tell you guys I logged into a Rocket Lab website the other day and I was logged in a different page, but it kicked me out a few minutes after. I had like a green tab on the top right, and he
Like
showed
an
me
employee
like
login or what?
yeah, like I had an employee logged in for somehow. I don't know why. And he had like log out and like if I could do changes to the page and stuff. I'm like, what's going on here?
You're like, update this Neutron timeline at the interstate.
I should have done it, right? Like I should have tried something. That would have been funny. Francisco breaks the Fort Rock Club website. I almost had my Mad Money what is it like fame, yeah. 5 minutes of fame there.
We're all like Vince. That's all that matters.
All right.
Okay, cool guys. So thank you so much. I'll end the stream here. See you guys next week.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
guys.